was hoping I would find a way to fix you and I.
Recorded live from the Engine Room in Broad Ripple, this is the Voices of Indy podcast hosted by Josh Gillespie. Voices of Indy is a show dedicated to giving you the opportunity to know the musical, visual, and theatrical arts of Indianapolis, Indiana. Today's show is sponsored by Indianapolis Independent Entertainment. And IIE LLC aims to help local DIY artists, freelancers, and businesses within Indianapolis by establishing a network of creatives who can connect with each other to generate more paying creative opportunities. Their goal is to eliminate some of the intimidating barriers within the entertainment industry and expand the local art and music scenes in Indianapolis. If you're interested, you can learn more about IIE by visiting their website at www.indyent.com. That's INDYINDIEENT.com, and fill out a free application to discuss how you and IIE can redefine making it together. And this week's guest, I'm very excited. We've already been having a very spicy conversation before we even started, and this is going to be exciting. So it's Trevor St. Aubin of the band St. Aubin. Trevor, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, dude, no problem. I appreciate it.
No, you have...
Quick question.
Yeah.
How did you get a sponsor for this podcast?
How?
Yeah.
Well, I knew people.
Okay.
That's
the answer for everything. People are just like, how'd you get this? How'd you do this? It's just like 9 times out of 10, it's some sort of relationship.
Well, the whole IIE thing, so they started out last year. Like, they're a brand new organization. And I was one of the first people, like, probably first or second or third person to kind of come on board.
Cool.
Initially as an artist and now as a podcaster. And so I do work with them. We actually have a monthly event at Porter Books and Bread in Lawrence.
Okay.
And that's where I highlight 3 artists, including myself, so me and 2 others,
Nice.
and as well as a comedian. So it's called Coffee, Comedy, and Music.
Nice.
And IIE sponsors that. They sponsor this show.
Nice.
Engine Room, where we're recording, is also a sponsor.
Sick, man. You got the hookups.
So
That's
I
dope.
kind of do for right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Nice.
but the relationship with the Engine Room started because of my relationship with IIE.
Okay. Dope.
So yeah.
Yeah, this is a cool spot. I used to work like right where there's like a building right in this complex in like the upstairs. I used to work.
Oh yeah.
A while back.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who may not know you, which there may be some people like, I remember St. Aubin.
Sure.
There, for those who, you're still here.
Yeah, thank God I was so young back in the day. I'd be in my 40s. Oh, jeez.
Man, people in their 40s. Who wants to talk to them?
Or you're not boomers, are you?
No.
What are you?
No. Heck no. Gen Xers.
Gen X, okay.
Well, my wife, who's 6 months younger than I am,
Okay.
she actually identifies more with the millennials than she does with the Gen X. I had an older brother and an older sister.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like significantly older brother and sister. So I identify with them.
Okay.
And so like the 80s and those early 90s, I mean, that's me.
Okay.
Makes
sense.
She was the oldest of 2.
Okay.
Even though we were born the same year, she's the oldest of 2. And so she identifies more with the millennial side of things. Which is very interesting.
But she's close to the cutoff, right?
Oh no, she's definitely close to the cutoff. But she won't qualify as Gen. She doesn't qualify herself as Gen X.
Sure,
I do wholeheartedly. Yep. I embrace it and love it. But I think that probably what I do fall into is this tiny category that I don't know if it's like legit or not. But
Xennial?
Yeah, Xennial or Xennial, however they pronounce it.
Yeah, one of my buddies, he's a millennial, and he refuses to identify as a millennial, and he calls himself a Xennial, and I'm like, that's the most millennial thing to say. It's like, I will pick my own identity, like, you're a millennial, clearly,
Yeah. No, I side, like, my upbringing, the way I respond to certain things, the way that my memories have been shaped is definitely far more Gen X than it is millennial.
Yeah.
But I can when you see those millennial quizzes, are you this or that? There are definitely some millennial answers that I get.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So anyway, it's been a while since you put something out. since Losing Control came out in what
2018, I
2018?
think. Yeah.
Yeah. What you been doing since then?
Yeah, so I mean, Saint Aubin. So I am now Saint Aubin. Saint Aubin used to be a three-piece
Okay.
of two other guys. They left right after Losing Control came out. So
Okay.
I have now like embodied the identity of Saint Aubin. So yeah, I've been writing a bunch, podcasting, and trying to figure out the internet and social
Mm-hmm.
media and how to have a career in this internet age, an algorithmic age.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's what I spend most of my time doing.
That is. You're speaking to the choir here,
Yeah, dude,
man.
it's
It
wild.
is so difficult to try to figure all
Mm-hmm.
that out. But I love actually following you on IG,
Oh, nice.
because it is. I never know what I'm going to get,
Sure.
and you,
Yeah,
you you keep me guessing.
that's like the biggest source of my wife's anxiety is me putting something, either funny or kind of wild or shirtless or
It's
whatever, and it's
because he
just
does
kind
all
of
of that. You
yeah,
you
yeah,
do all that.
yeah. No, yeah, the internet's weird, man. It's like I don't know. I've talked to people who've kind of had some success years ago,
Hmm.
and but then they talk about it, I'm like, I would never like. I mean, even though I'm kind of I'm still an artist and I like albums, but when I talk to people who are like, "Oh, I'm doing an album," and I'm just
Hmm.
like, that doesn't seem to be the most optimal way
No.
to have a career, you know?
So you've released a 6-song EP,
Mhm.
and you released an initial single, but it's not like you kept kind of with the standard album format though
Kind of.
with
Well,
it.
so yeah, I released my first single came out last May.
Hmm.
So last March is when I kind of just like, oh, I'm back. That's when I started podcasting and started like getting back on the internet and stuff like that. May was when I released my first single, and then a couple others, and then I just started doing a song a month from like
Really?
November. Yeah. So it's like it feels a little cheesy, but the EP was essentially all the singles.
Oh
And
no,
then I
yeah,
put
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
together
yeah, yeah,
and then added another song without my queen on it.
yeah.
So the song a month is kind of like what I think is most optimal.
Hmm. Because I
It takes
remember
a lot
when
of
Diet
time.
Coke came out,
Yep.
I missed the others
Yeah, yeah. I
as
think
you
Diet
release
Coke
those.
was the third one.
Okay,
I think maybe fourth one.
okay,
I can't remember what it was, but
sure.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean that's the thing, man. You can release so much stuff, and people are in their own algorithms, and it's hard to
Hmm.
break into someone else's point of view.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about like a particular release strategy? So I mean, clearly you were doing the one a month, but
Hmm.
did you sit down and think to yourself, and I'm asking for a friend,
Sure.
but did you think about this like you wanted to do one a month, or did you think about waterfall strategy, or
Yeah.
did you
So
think about just
I did both. I did the
okay?
waterfall strategy. Um,
Now, for those,
and
real quick, for those who may not understand what the waterfall strategy, but if you're watching this podcast, chances are you might. The waterfall strategy is where you release one single, then you release another single, but then release the first single again with the original,
correct.
and so on and so forth. On down the line
Hmm.
until you actually have like a whole album out.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. No, I mean it's a great way to get accrue more streams because you just want as many streams as possible. I think I found that like three, two is probably the best, the most optimal, and then three, you get a couple streams. But then once you hit three, it just feels needy to
mhm.
me. So I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. But yeah, so I think it's the one a month. So I did waterfall, and then one a month. So if you look on your artist Spotify for artists,
Mhm.
it has like a 28-day
Yes,
I don't know what the
it's just kind of
sort like a
it's kind of an amalgamation of data that tells you
yes.
what's happening over the
Yeah, so
last
it's about
28
28
days.
days. But if I remember correctly, your monthly listeners after 28 days will drop.
Yes.
So if the idea is if you could do a song a month or within a song every 28 days,
Hmm.
when you drop a new song, all of those monthly listeners who listen to your song will be notified.
Ah,
So
so
if
you
you
keep
wait
those numbers up.
if
Yeah.
you wait too long, then you might miss that window. So
Sure.
that's that. I think I've done a ton of research into a bunch of stuff, and that seems to be what people are doing, and it's
So,
working.
okay, and again, totally asking for a friend here.
Please.
Um,
I am open source. I'm trying to figure it out. I want to help as many people as I possibly can.
so, and I want the show to be about you and
No, please.
the data,
This is more
or
interesting.
not the data, but
Yeah.
this is just a side conversation, but still, I've seen a lot of different sources that say go for like a 6 to 8 week strategy. Why did you
hmm
choose going monthly?
Um.
Well, was it because of the
So
28 day?
the 28 days is a big thing. There's an artist called Russ
Mm-hmm.
that I
Yes.
follow.
Mm-hmm.
He did a song a month for. Well, actually, he did a song a week. But that was when he was unemployed living with his mom. But it seems a song a month just seems to be the 4 weeks just seems to be the best, the most
Mm-hmm.
optimal.
Mm-hmm.
6 weeks you might miss a few things, but Spotify is still an algorithmic platform. So if you can't do a song a month or every 28 days, the more songs, the more content you give Spotify, the better probability you have of them pushing you out to more people.
Sure. No,
If
that
that
makes
makes sense.
sense.
So
No,
it's
that
the
totally
same
makes
thing with
sense.
you
Yeah.
with Instagram, TikTok. If you're using their platform more, they want you to keep. They need you
Mm-hmm.
in order for their platform to make money.
Yeah.
So the more you use it, the more you upload songs. Theoretically,
Mm-hmm.
they will reward it.
Okay.
But I think I've also read somewhere that I think somebody I can't remember I can't remember the company's name. It's irrelevant, but something around 20 songs is when people will start to see
Like an impact.
impact. They'll
Yeah.
start to
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
oh, my song, like Discover Weekly or something. Their song gets pushed out to like more people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it was roughly 20 songs.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think I've heard the same thing. I think we've bored enough people with this. I
I
find it
love like
fascinating.
the inside
Yeah.
baseball
No, this
stuff
is.
because this is the stuff that I think
Mm,
matters. Particularly, I mean, I don't know what the listenership is here, but for me, like I eat this stuff up because I'm just like, what are people doing
yeah.
to
No,
in
it's
order to have a
fascinating.
career?
No, it's absolutely fascinating. So let's talk about that for a second. Um, what do you do like in addition to music?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, we were talking again off air. Like, one of questions for me was like, you don't just do the podcast, do you?
Sure.
Like what's your
So,
main hustle?
so
So
my
what's
main job, I'm a realtor.
okay?
That's my main job. I work with At Properties in
Mm-hmm. Oh
Indianapolis.
yes, yes.
I've been with them for 2 years.
Okay.
So my main job is doing real estate. So I love helping friends buy houses. I have some investor clients, but real estate funds my family. It feeds my family, and provides me some extra money to put into St. Aubin.
Do you find that it also provides you the time to be able to
Oh, yeah,
devote
dude.
to?
I don't know how. I mean, that's probably the most it does. I have so much freedom because I'm my own boss.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a small business owner.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, real estate's weird. It gets kind of like how it's laid out. Like I'm not an employee of At Properties.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a contractor of At
Oh,
Properties.
okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird.
That is kind of weird.
But yeah, that's the most important thing. It provide. I worked in corporate sales for 2 years. I wore like corporate pants, corporate shirt. It just sucked the life out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I bought a couple investment properties 2020, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, let's see what happens. But
Yeah.
it provides all the freedom that I could want, and I think that's I'm more freedom oriented than
Mm-hmm.
money or financially motivated.
No, that makes sense.
Hmm.
I mean, at some point, I feel like, if you're in music, depending on what age you are, you aren't in it for money.
Sure.
You're in it to feel like a sense of accomplishment
Hmm.
and getting your thoughts out.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think for me, because I think about it all the time, and I pray to God all the time that I would wake up one day and just want to be a realtor or an accountant, because it's like I have to do it. I have to
Mm-hmm.
write songs. I have to entertain. So
Mm-hmm.
whether it comes from a place of abundance or it comes from a place of insecurity, like I wake up every morning, and it's what drives me. Just
Mm-hmm.
to like, okay, write more songs or put out a dumb video or
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I genuinely wish that I could not be this way in some ways, just because like especially when like I became like a data boy, like a
Mm-hmm.
metric guy
Yeah.
in the last year, and it's hard when you feel like you're significant and special, and then you look at the data and it's just like you're a loser, you know, like the
Yeah.
crippling. I'm just like, oh wow, I have
There,
4 downloads for my podcast, like
there's
amazing, you know.
there's where the crippling insecurity comes in.
100%,
Oh
dude.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wild, but I wake up every day because I love it so much.
Mm-hmm. No, I am with you. I mean, it's I get that aspect of it. Um, I find that if you're a musician, it's almost like a certain sickness
Hmm.
that you need to do it.
Sure.
And I know for me, it took me a long time to finally realize that. That I mean, I told myself that like a bucket list item would be to record an album,
Hmm.
and I did.
Yeah.
It took me into my 40s to do it, but I did it.
Did you play when you were younger?
I did. Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You
yeah,
play in
yeah.
like bands and stuff, but you guys never recorded.
Well, I was, I played on worship teams at church.
Yeah, yeah.
I would. My problem was that when I would work on my own stuff, I would write music, but I wouldn't write lyrics.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Lyrics, it was there had been like a lifetime mental block to lyrics. And it was shortly before the pandemic that it's like there was the drip. Like it
Hmm.
finally started coming. And then once the pandemic really hit, it was just like, holy crap, I have an
Oh, that's
album.
cool.
Yeah.
That's dope.
And um, I'm currently working on a second one, and uh that has I'm currently working on a second one, and believe it or not, a third one.
Oh, nice.
The third one is actually going to be with the band,
Okay, sick.
and that one is kind of forming in and of itself in its own way.
Hmm.
It's a lot of fun.
Cool. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Um, but again, I'm kind of with you. It's like you need to have that thing that allows you to pursue that, because
Hmm.
if you don't, then you feel stifled.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's probably what was happening for the longest time, is that I felt stifled.
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't have that outlet. I
Yeah.
had musical outlet. I mean, I could sit around, my man cave, whatever you want to call it at the time, and play my guitars and, have fun all the live long day. But, I had a life and a job that was not allowing me to really do anything beyond just playing guitar.
Sure.
But I knew that I had something in me that wanted to do
Hmm.
something other than just playing guitar.
So do you think it was like a job, like when you kind of switched jobs, that it opened it up, or was it just the time at home from the pandemic?
I think it was, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the above.
No, makes sense. I get it.
I mean, I think that's how it came about. And just the time that I was kind of left to myself and my own thoughts,
Hmm.
and seeing, because a lot of what I was, I had mentioned before that, like, my first album I call my divorce album from politics.
Hmm.
And or probably better put, my deconstruction, my political deconstruction,
Interesting.
is how I put
Yeah.
it. And
It's so interesting how, in some ways, politics and religion are like blurring
right.
lines, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, exactly. So, I call it my political. Yeah, it's either a divorce album or a political deconstruction album. Either way, there's a breaking.
Hmm.
Um, and it was just basically, what I was seeing in the news, and especially about pandemic related stuff, and it was just hitting me in such a way, because I would watch the news while I would be running on the treadmill. That's back when I ran. I
Hmm.
don't run anymore.
Yeah.
um, but it was something that was, like, it was welling up inside me that needed to get out in a certain kind of way. And just seeing the way that certain people would respond or
Hmm.
act, or groups of people would respond or
Yeah.
react. I was like, and all the other things that were going on. I mean, we had, police brutality on us with a spike during that time as
Hmm.
well. Or at least maybe it wasn't a spike, just so
This
much
is
as
the
the
perceived.
perceived
Yeah,
spike,
yeah.
just because it was finally getting more attention.
Hmm.
Um, so it's, um, yeah.
Hmm.
It, I feel- how did you turn this on me?
I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I have a hard time with being guests on podcasts because I genuinely take an interest in other people's like lives and stuff, and then I start asking questions, and then it's just like, and then I just completely derail whatever they had planned just because I'm like, oh, that's interesting. What about this? Well, what about this?
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
no. That makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to get back to you.
Please, let's do it. I do too.
Let's
I like talking about me.
let's start off actually by talking about Losing Control,
Yeah.
which came out in 2018. I love that album.
Thank you.
And I mentioned this off air, but I'll mention it again. When I started this podcast, when I was putting down a list of people who who I had even hoped, dreamed of one day being on this podcast, you were on that list.
Thanks, man.
And I have here's my chance to plug again. I don't do this enough. I have playlists for the podcast, but what started the whole podcast was a playlist that I originally called Voices of Indy.
Interesting.
And is now called Voices of Indy Volume 1. But the second song on that playlist, second or third song, is actually the song Matter of Time.
Oh, dope.
I love.
Nice. Who was number one? Who's better than me?
It wasn't about who.
No, it's a competition. Who was it?
It was Bobby Donnelly.
Okay.
With his song Dance.
Okay.
And that's just, we had connected on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was starting to check his stuff out, and so I think when I started putting it together, I was like, I'll put Bobby first.
Interesting.
And
nice.
But you came in, I think pretty much right away.
Hey, I mean, I'll take it, man. If I'm on any playlist, I'll take it.
Yeah. Know? But I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like you. The top three were Bobby Donnelly, you, and Emma Peridot.
Okay.
And
Emma who is that? That's not the YouTuber, is it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, I guess it's indie. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it is. It's indie based. Yeah.
Okay.
No, she is a pop artist. Last year she played at Indie Pride.
Okay.
She's one of my favorites.
Okay.
In the indie scene.
I'll check it out.
You totally should check her out. She's one of my favorites, which is saying something because her type of music isn't necessarily what I would call something that I would actively listen to on a regular basis. But I love what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I really dig her sound.
What did you grow up listening to?
Oh, rock, alt rock.
Like who?
Let's see. I mean, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Foo Fighters, Smashing Pumpkins. My brother raised me on mixtapes that he made for himself. So my brother's 10 years older than me.
Cool.
So I had mixtapes with Boston and Rush and REO Speedwagon, Led Zeppelin, all that. I mean, so it's that kind of stuff that kind of formed me early on. Yeah. And so it typically what draws me is stuff that is guitar driven.
Sure.
Rock driven. She has a band. She has a full band, but it's not, it's not what I would necessarily say is guitar-driven rock and roll.
I'm going to look her up.
You totally should. She's
Emma, Emma.
Yeah, Peridot, Peridot. She releases stuff mostly as singles. So she's definitely on the single strategy. She was actually one of my early guests on the show. Back when I was recording this at my house.
Okay, nice.
I had her and her keyboardist $1 Bill on the show, and they were.
Is that their name?
That's what he goes by. That's what he goes by. $1 Bill.
Do you call him?
I called him
$1 Bill.
I think I switched back and forth between that and just Bill.
Okay,
during the conversation.
I
try to be respectful of
for sure. I think as I've shown because like I am like the Saint Aubin persona.
Yeah.
So, but I've always struggled because my name's Trevor.
Yeah.
And people have called me Trevor my whole life, and I've always like struggled with how do people like rappers, just like you just call them their rap name instead of like Clarence or whatever their name is.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just like Eminem. You call him Eminem, not Marshall.
Some people can get away with calling him Marshall.
Sure, for sure. But I think it's just something I'm trying to like get more comfortable with. Like I'm Saint Aubin.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just weird. It's a weird thing.
Well, I hope it didn't seem weird when you walked in the door and I said, "Hey, Trevor."
Oh, no. Like, I think it's mostly like in life, I am Trevor,
Mm-hmm.
but on the internet, I am St. Aubin, if
Yeah,
that
no,
makes
no, no.
sense,
That totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. It's a little bit different with a name like Josh Gillespie. Sometimes I think I probably should have come up with a stage name, but
Yeah.
not. This is what the good
It's never
Lord
too
gave me.
late, dude.
So, well, I already have an album out, and I'm working on the
Yeah,
second.
people rebranding all the time,
That's true. That's true. I don't know. I'm not a Diddy.
Yeah.
I
No,
I stick with what I
I
got.
get it.
Yeah, it's not as catchy.
Yeah.
So, I remember one of my friends growing up, because back to the whole politics thing. I used to want to be president.
Hmm.
That was like a goal of mine. Like, not just as a kid. That actually went into early adulthood. Um, and one of my friends in college, he's like, "There's no way you can become president." I was like, "Why not?" He's like, "Your name's too ethnic."
Gillespie's an ethnic name?
It's Scottish, but I mean,
Okay.
it's not like when you think of,
Yeah, I mean,
and
I
this
guess
was
that makes
this was before
sense.
the election of Barack Obama,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, things like Bush,
Yeah,
Washington,
just very basic.
Nixon. I mean,
Yeah.
Eisenhower is probably the most, like, out there name, but he was a
Mm-hmm.
war hero and a
Sure.
general, and um, but I mean, they're strong, simple syllable names. Kennedy,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
you keep it short.
Yep.
Gillespie, there's a
A little
lot
too much.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's a little too ethnic.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you're Italian.
Yeah. Which is so funny to me that, like, Scottish is an ethnicity.
And it's,
So
yeah, no, it
it
is.
is.
It is. But I mean, it doesn't fall, like, even if I went um under the clan name of McPherson,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, that's still too much.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Oh, like the Scottish clan.
The Scottish clan.
Not
Yes.
not the
No,
when you
no,
said clan, I was
no,
like, damn, dude,
no,
you don't
no,
care. Like, you
no,
don't want to be
no,
president.
no.
That's funny.
No, not that. Sorry, Scottish
No, it's
clan.
fine.
No, it's clan with the C.
Yeah. That's
Um.
funny.
So yeah. Anyway, again, we're back to me. Back to you.
Sorry.
So,
Sure.
tell me about losing control. How did that come about?
Losing control was I don't even. I'm trying to think about it. Yeah, it was
Because it's been a while.
some breakup stuff, some just breakup stuff, and just like I was in. I mean, I guess it is. So I mean, that album. I think all the songs were probably done in like 2014 or 2015.
Oh, really?
It took us forever to record. I don't remember for the life of me why it took us so long to actually release it.
Oh, wow.
But we've been playing those songs for so long, and I say we. It was when it was a 3-piece.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I think I was younger. I mean, I was almost 10 years young or 8 years younger. So just
early
going through a lot of
20s,
breakup,
early mid-20s.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's what most of it was about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it was getting to the point. I'm like, I was getting to the point where, like, how does U2 continue to sing "Where the Streets Have No Name"?
Yeah.
They've been singing it for like 40 years
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. I was singing a song for like 5 years. I'm like, this is awful. Granted, it's like, you got 3 people in a crowd singing "Matter of Time"
Yeah.
as opposed to
40,000,
40,000
50,000
people
yeah.
singing. I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So I suppose if 40,000 people were singing "Matter of Time," I would play it every day of my life twice.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
But yeah, it was just like we recorded it live, and then
no way
we did, and then I think
it was a pretty tight ship there.
I think so. I'm trying to think. Well, no. We originally recorded live, and then I think we either overdub or retracked stuff.
Okay.
I can't remember. It was such a weird time. So I'm like, what do I look back and I'm like, what were we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Just wasting time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we released the album in 2018, and then the other 2 left shortly after that.
Okay. So you've been kind of performing, like, between then and now, have you been performing?
So I haven't really played. Oh, geez. So I was I was trying to figure it out in 2019. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Then I saying, like, Saint Aubin is the name. It's my last name.
Yes.
So I don't, it's like the Conan. He just named the show Conan.
Yeah.
He just,
No,
like,
yeah.
he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I think 2020 is when I started playing shows. I was doing, like, weekend warrior tours and stuff. And then the world shut down.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I thought I was playing shows, but I think for the first few months it was actually kind of nice. I tend to be a person who's very fast paced, who likes to have like 5 things on my plate at all times. But it was kind of nice, just like hanging out with my wife, just like a really slow life. I really enjoyed that. But
did you ever consider getting into live streaming?
No, I think it's the I just didn't think enough people cared.
Fair enough. No,
I think for me it's like cost benefit, which is sometimes a problem because sometimes I don't do things because it's fun. I look at the cost benefit of it and I'm just like, this is a waste of time. But yeah, I mean, like everybody was doing like, who are you gonna watch? Taylor Swift's live stream or some random guy that you don't know his songs. You know,
sure. No, I get it.
So I did not. But I think I actually got really into stand-up comedy.
Oh, really?
In terms of a consumption, not a
Oh,
performer.
okay.
But I started watching all these comics and how they were, they were all podcasting. They were doing a bunch of different stuff on the internet. And there's a comic in particular. His name's Andrew Schultz.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of Andrew Schultz, but I just saw him essentially just start. He created his whole network on YouTube, putting his podcasts, putting his tours, putting clips, putting all this stuff out. And I was like, oh, that's how I should do what I want to do. And then I think also from that time around 2020 and even in the last couple of years, I've been learning how to be a self-sufficient, independent musician. So like when Saint Aubin was a 3-piece, I was the dummy of the group. I was just a performer. That was all I did.
Okay, yeah.
I brought my drums or guitar and then I performed. If they're like, "Hey, can you plug this in?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Or like recording like computers, all this stuff, or like video editing.
Yeah.
I was the performer.
Yeah.
And I love doing that. But I think when they left, I was just like, "Oh, I have to learn. I can't be dependent on other people." Because I think in some ways in a few of those years, I was waiting on other people to do things.
Sure.
And I learned a lot, but I think I lost a lot of time. So over the last few years, I've been learning how to edit video. I've been learning how to shoot video. I've been learning how to podcast. I've been learning how to track and produce and engineer and like mix and master all that stuff.
So did you do
I did. So I produced.
Without My Queen?
I produced Without My Queen in with 2 other guys.
Oh, okay.
And then there's only one song on there that I mixed a good chunk of it.
Okay.
But I learned a ton from those guys. This is I co-wrote the songs too with.
Oh, really?
Somebody else. So that was my first time like a true co-writing.
Wow,
experience.
What was that experience like?
It's great. People should do it more. People shouldn't hold their ideas precious because they're not as good as they think.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it was hard. I remember I sent my first idea, and I was like, "This is it. This is gold." He sent me, like, I sent him a 1.0. He sent me a 2.0. A synth sound was in it, and I was just like, "You've destroyed me," But I think musicians and particular singer-songwriters are so in tune with what they're singing and saying, and from the instrumentation all the way to the lyrics, they're so in tune with it. They know exactly what it means. But then I think it's wildly beneficial for you to bring somebody else on and say, "This is what I'm thinking and feeling and saying," because what they'll often say is, "I know what you're thinking, feeling, and saying, but you're not communicating that."
Yes.
And I think it's wildly. If I could, I'd probably co-write with everybody because I think my ego got in the way early on because I was like, no, it's 100% me. I have to do it all. But then after a while, it's just like, oh, this is better. and like I can't let myself get in the way of serving the song. And at the end of the day, most people have if I didn't say it, nobody have any idea that
Yeah.
the songs were co-written.
Yeah.
You know, they just think they associate all the songs with me.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. So yes, writing with other people is great. But just learning to be self-sufficient has been challenging, but it's been. I think it's been great.
Well, that's
for the most
awesome.
part, yeah.
Well, let's get to the songs that you have played for us.
Yeah.
They're from your new EP. Again, it's called Without My Queen. Hold on. It's called Without My Queen.
Boom.
That's
Boom,
right.
baby.
Boom, baby. So tell us a little bit about the songs that you're going to perform. And what should people expect?
From the EP or from the performance?
From the performance.
Oh.
We'll talk about the EP when we come back.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, the song, they're just stripped down. I think Home for me, even though a lot of people see me live, and it's just loud, kind of just rambunctious rowdiness. Home for me is really just an acoustic guitar.
Cool.
And vocals. So I have you mentioned playing in worship bands. I have I was like a worship director for like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I just stripped down songs. I think that I'm really proud of the hooks that we can. I'm such a hook guy. Like if your song doesn't have a hook, it's just like I'm not gonna listen to it. I think I like heavier. I grew up listening to really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But I think I'm still like a pop. Like there's still something about pop music that's just like lyrics and melody. Like if you don't have strong really melody, because there's some dog shit lyrics out there, but like it's catchy, you know.
No, I was gonna say that, you know, when I was thinking about your music and like how would I define it, and I hate getting into these terms because I feel like people should,
okay.
but it was like it's kind of like an alternative rock, but there's a pop sensibility to it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason pop music is the most commercially successful. It's very easy to digest, and I think now that the internet's here and genres I think they're just kind of going away. Like
in many cases they are.
It's I think the world's becoming more personality driven. Like the YouTube. Like, you know, Logan Paul could put out a song and a bunch of people listen to it. Is it good? Probably not. But
it
doesn't matter.
No,
it's like it doesn't matter. Logan Paul did it or whatever. But yeah, I think you can. There's so much flexibility with like a traditional pop structure, and you can just kind of mutilate the instrumentation underneath it. But as long as the traditional pop, just like verse chorus with a hook, I think you're gonna do all right.
Yeah, probably. Well, let's take us some time here and listen to "Where Did I Go Wrong" and "Anchor's Break" from "Without My Queen." We'll be right back with Trevor St. Aubin.
Sorry that I disappointed you. That's not what friends are supposed to do. Oh, 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 oh. I've been seeing monsters in my room. They've been saying, stay away from you. I'm your loaded gun. I'm the one you love. I've been wondering how we came undone. Well, now that you're gone, how do I move on? I've been wondering. Where did I go wrong? In my mind, I've been going back in time. I was hoping I would find a way to fix you and I. In my mind, I've been going back in time. I was hoping I would find a way to fix you and I. Oh, 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 oh. And I'm your loaded gun. I'm the one you love. I've been wondering how we came undone. Now that you're gone, how do I move on? I've been wondering, where did I go wrong? Missed a call from you yesterday. More I see it, the more I shake. Couldn't go that you go away. No one told me that anchors break. Wishing I could take it back, missing my last chance. Everything was certain, now I'm searching, wishing won't bring you back. Meant to call back the other day. I was bouncing place to place. Guess I thought that it could wait. Would've known later's too late. Wishing I could take it back, missing my last chance. Everything was certain, now I'm searching, wishing won't bring you back. Waste away, I waste away without a home. Oh, I should've known, I should've known, I'm all alone. Hey, I waste away, I waste away without a home. Wishing I could take it back, missing my last chance. Everything was certain, now I'm searching, wishing won't bring you back, wishing I could take it back, missing my last chance. Everything was certain, now I'm searching, wishing won't bring you back.
We are back with St. Aubin, Trevor St. Aubin, and
Whatever.
St. Aubin.
It's St. Aubin, dude. Get it right.
Get it right.
Come on.
Right. We just heard a couple of great songs from him. Trevor, tell us a little bit about these songs. What's the story behind them? It seems like they're coming from a pretty deep place.
Sure. So the whole EP, I lost my mom 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Almost to the date. So a lot of it is just dealing with just a lot of emotions from that. Where did I go wrong specifically? I think it is dealing with regret. It's looking back and where could we have done fixed up things or smooth things over? Because I remember when my mom died. She and it's just because we were talking about politics earlier. Like politics is so unbelievably polarizing, and it's insane to me. It's absolutely insane. But when my mom died, I could not believe at how petty I was, especially with like political just like disagreements. Because it's like people's political ideas or thoughts does not define who they are. And I can't believe in a lot of ways I was just like, oh, I let that get in the way of intimacy with my mother or whatever. So that's kind of where did I go wrong is about. Anchor's Break is kind of specifically my mom texted me like the day before she passed. And I didn't text her back, which is so millennial, like so me. I'm the worst. I'm the absolute worst. Because I had better things to do, So yeah, and it was just like, oh shit, dude. Yeah. My bad, And it's okay if I say something funny about my mom being dead, you can laugh.
Okay.
Because I cope and with humor. I've said some like cracking jokes and people have no idea what to do. They're just like I just but yeah, so that's what Anchor's Break is. And I think too there's I don't think you realize how much not influence, but how much losing a parent is like losing one of your legs, and you don't realize it until it's gone, and you're just like, holy shit, dude, they're like pivotal and foundational to life. And I was 30 when I lost my mom. I can't imagine people who are children and lose such an important piece of upbringing, or even you're 60. Like, I don't think there's ever an easy time to lose a parent. But yeah, that's what the EP is about. I struggle talking like I like to leave mystery in some ways about like what songs are about, but this one I feel like it's almost too. It's almost like too on the nose for me to try to be like mysterious about it. It's just clearly you lost something. Okay, just tell us what it is. Instead of being like, you did whatever you wanted to me. But yeah, those are two of them.
Yeah, I was noticing there was we had talked a little bit earlier about like there's some connectivity between like the songs Hey Ma and Without My Queen, and how there seems to be just kind of like some kind of dealing with some family issues when you're looking at both of those songs, and like I know you like to leave some mystery to it, but I mean
I'm also the guy who's like annoyed and like yelling at the interview. Just fucking say it, dude. Like you like get like we get it. You're cool in your sunglasses. It's all just like, dude, just say it. Dude, Yeah. So like I think Without My Queen is So this is gonna go in like family history, but my siblings are not my biological siblings.
Okay.
And then in order for me to have the same name as my dad, my father adopted me.
Yes.
So when my mom died, it was the first time in my entire life where I felt isolated. Like I
Like
felt
separate from your family?
other
Yeah.
than my family.
Wow.
Which was very weird. I've
Yeah.
never felt that in my entire life. It was terrifying. And I don't think I realized how much my mom was like Elmer's glue, dude. She was just,
Mhm.
or Elmer's was not good, a good glue, Gorilla Glue. That's better.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
and then when that was gone, it was like, oh, this is a feeling I've never felt before.
Mhm.
Um, and then I think Hey Ma is just, Hey Ma in a lot of ways it's a conversation with if I were to write a letter to my mom,
Mhm.
that's what Hey Ma was, you know?
Yeah.
And two, it was also kind of like for me, if I could sum up who I am
Mhm.
in a song, it would be Hey Ma. Cause there's some hip hop to it, there's some pop to it, and then
Mhm.
there's some kind of like grunge,
No,
like
yeah,
heavier
it's
rock at the end, you know?
yeah.
And it made me wildly uncomfortable. I've never rapped before, dude. Like, I'm not a rapper. I'm not
Mhm.
trying to be a rapper.
Mhm.
I was trying so hard to not sound like all the rappers, like, cause like when people they start rapping, and I'm just like, you don't sound like that when you talk, Bubba. And I
Yeah.
was trying. And I remember the first time I did it, I was trying to sound like J. Cole or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I didn't. That's not me. So so it was a little clunky, but um, I don't. And I remember when I wrote that song, because I was sitting in my studio,
Mhm.
just like diddling around on the bass. Because I think when I was writing this record, for some reason I was like, I want it to be very bass guitar
Mhm.
driven, a lot of
Mhm.
bass in it.
Mhm.
Um, but my natural instinct was to start rapping. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Am I not feeling good? Am I high? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Um, and I'm glad I did it. I don't know if I'll rap again. Who knows? I might just become a rapper. You know, nobody cares about rock or pop anymore. Just be a rapper.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just spit bars like all day.
Now, and truth be told, you did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I don't. I'm proud of it. I don't regret it. I don't think I was bad. I think I
Mhm.
can get better. But yeah, I don't think, because I've heard the guy that I wrote these songs with. He kind of rapped on a song once, and I was just like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that again. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was. I don't think I would have done it if I didn't think it was good.
Yeah.
You know,
No, 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 I follow.
but the weird thing is, the person who was most stressed about that song was my wife.
Oh, really?
Because I told her she's kind of stressed about the whole Saint Aubin persona a little bit, but um, I was just like, hey, I wrote this song. She's like, oh, cool. I was like, I rap on it, and she's just like, excuse me, you know. And I think, and she was so full of anxiety, I think, when I told her that. And
Mhm.
then she listened to it, and she's like, okay, this isn't like, because I think when she was singing like, hey, I'm rapping,
Yeah.
it was like over a trap beat or
Yeah, 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 yeah,
something,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But I tried to rap how Saint Aubin would rap
Mhm.
in this context, if that makes
No,
sense.
no, it totally makes sense, and it totally
Yeah,
works.
yeah,
Um, yeah, uh, I don't know. I sensed in that song, like, yeah, there's this kind of, um, like that conversation that you're talking about, maybe kind of like a sort of disappointment that might be on from one side to the other, just how things may have turned out,
yeah.
uh, different than
Totally, dude.
expected.
I mean, I think that,
And I was like, I felt like I could relate to that on a
yeah,
certain
I
side.
think like one of the hardest lyrics I ever wrote, because it was kind of true, is like the chorus is like, I thought it'd be better. Like some days my mom would just annoy the shit out of me,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh, dude, like some days I'm like, it'd just be nice to have a little break, you know?
Yeah.
Um, jokes on me, you know? But yeah, I think a lot of that stuff I think was dealing with my own stuff, and I think even some of the stuff that my mom wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think one of the lyrics is hey man, I'll never be a pastor. I'm
Yeah.
closer to a bastard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I was in ministry for years, I think it kind of broke her heart,
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing was just like I don't know, it was just like a confession of like I'm sorry for my shortcomings, but also it's like I don't regret not doing exactly what she wanted me to do.
Sure. No, I
Yeah,
follow.
so it
Yeah.
wasn't like I like left ministry and then like became a coke addict and
Yeah.
like a
No. No. No.
pimp,
Yeah. 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 No, I'm following what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It just went different than both of you expected,
Sure. Which
and
is life,
yeah, that is life. That is, I mean, that's kind of how things go. And to kind of be biographical with that, autobiographical
Mhm.
with that in song, I mean, what says a lot, and I have found that those songs can seem to resonate most,
Yeah.
ones that are super personal,
Sure. Yeah.
um, and or records that are super personal.
Mhm.
They just have a way of connecting more so than just a standard, rock
Yeah,
record.
it's always a challenge to I want to be personal, but I don't want to be whiny.
Yes.
Because there's a
Yes.
fine line between you being vulnerable with somebody and then you just being a big old bitch and just like, listen, dude,
Yes.
like we get it. Wah, your mom died. Okay, like what else you got?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a delicate balance, and I try to. My way to combat it is I'm always conscious of the idea that sometimes I want to share too much,
Mhm.
but sometimes I know it's good to share.
Mhm.
So like my release show I did like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, let's talk about that real
I
quick.
did like I thought it would be interesting to I love like rock shows are great, but how can I make it a little bit better? So I did it was kind of a conceptual show.
Okay.
And there was a theme. The theme was you don't know what you have till it's gone. So I shot some short films
Hmm.
to kind of coincide with the songs.
Mhm.
Um and f- I my friend and my wife kind of convinced me to like, hey, like tip your hat a little bit to what's actually happening. Because I wasn't gonna do it. I wasn't gonna say, hey, my mom died. I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna say that at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think they were right. Where I was like, I did like a little toast. I don't know if do you know who Scott Adams is?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He does this thing called the simultaneous sip,
Okay.
which is one of the most fascinating things. Because I participated in it once
Okay.
and I felt something. It was so weird. It was
Hmm.
so bizarre. Like,
Okay.
and I'm the most skeptical person in the world, but when I did, I was just like, "What the fuck was just that?"
Yeah.
So I kind of incorporated that into the show. But I was just like, "Hey, this show is kind of like an honor to my mother," and I
Sure.
think it was probably better that I tip my hat to it.
Mhm.
But I'm always conscious like I don't want to be too whiny or
Yeah.
make it too much about me,
Yeah.
because it's just like the show you're already performing in front of people. Like it can't get more about you than you
Yeah.
being in front of people.
So how did you go about doing that show if you don't, I mean, did you have a band with you? Because
Yes,
I'm sorry, was not able to make that
it's fine.
particular show.
It's okay. A
But
lot
trust
of
me,
people weren't,
I
and
totally
they
could have
will
used the
be remembered.
babysitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's
No,
fine. It's fine.
um,
So I play with two other guys. So
okay.
I have
So
like
you did have
hired
the whole
guns.
band.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I have a drummer and then like a utility guy who's doing keys and guitar and stuff
Oh,
like
that's
that.
cool.
hmm hmm
All right.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So
And
I don't know if you've seen me in the past. It's the same setup.
okay. Okay.
Except I run tracks now.
Yeah. No,
And do like in-ear stuff.
mhm.
But yeah, but other than that, it's the same.
Okay. That's very
hmm
cool.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like it. I like the three pieces. Nice. It's like I like we kind of set up in a line. Yeah, I don't know if I would do much more
mhm.
than that, but who knows?
Now, did you have, and I'm asking this because I think I saw this on one of your Instagram posts earlier. I love your series of if I don't make it as a musician.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Dude, I posted one, I think it was yesterday. It was so hard for me to post because
Is
it
it the
was
one where you missed the note?
so bad. It was so bad, dude. Like, I couldn't do it, but it made me laugh because of how bad it was.
Was there a
But it
dancer
was,
going on behind you?
there
What
was.
was?
So also part of the show, I had a spoken word artist
Oh,
do some
very
pieces.
cool.
So like, it was actually kind of cool because we did Hey Ma,
Yeah.
and then we kind of extended the end,
Uh-huh.
and he came up in between when we kind of dropped it down, and then like as he like got bigger and bigger, then we came in with the stuff, and then for Diet Coke, I sang it by myself
Mm-hmm.
with no instrument, which was wildly uncomfortable, and then a dancer
Mm-hmm.
performed behind me during
Okay.
that song. But
Yeah.
no, that was a rough. I need to sing more. I think the weakest thing about me is my voice, and I
You
need to
think
work on
so?
it. Okay, so it's not like I don't think I'm a bad singer. It has more to do. One, I love Dave Grohl, and I
Yeah.
want to be him.
Oh, sure.
And when
Yes,
I
yes.
hear him talk about his warm ups, he's like, "Oh, I drink a bunch, and I just go on stage. I don't warm up." And I was like, "That's me," but like, I'm not
Well,
good
he
enough
he
to
he
do it.
drinks and then also takes like 18 ibuprofen because he
Yes,
screams. And
yes,
I mean,
yes. But I think it two of the reasons why, like that post where I just sucked, my in ears were like crazy off.
oh
We
no,
had
oh
so many
no.
technical issues for that show; it was a nightmare. But number two is I'm out of practice. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't sing often. I
Oh
sing for
really?
shows. That's about it. So like I'm trying to sing more,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to because it's just muscle. Like if you don't use it,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a little wonky when
Mm-hmm.
you or so you know. I think I sang for up until that show. I hadn't sang until other than we had like three rehearsals before that, but I hadn't sang since September. Opening for Flowbots.
How, how do you go that long?
I don't know. Well, okay, sorry. Like like when I've recorded stuff, I've sang.
No, I know, but
But
I
like I
mean,
just don't like I'm not at home with a guitar just singing songs.
really?
Yeah, I got too much other shit to do. Like
Well,
it's
okay, no, that's fair. Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, so it's something that I'm like I need to do this more
yeah.
because that show will never happen again.
Uh
Like
huh.
I'm okay with like being pitchy
Yeah,
because it's human,
yeah.
And I don't necessarily consider myself a vocalist, but that what happened for that song in particular
Was that
will never
actually a
happen again.
live cut from the show, or was that
Yeah,
a practice?
live cut from the show. That was yeah, dude.
No
People paid for
way.
that shit,
Oh
dude. Like, isn't
no.
it weird? Like concerts, like people prepay before they actually see what happens. What a scam.
Oh
Yeah, I
no.
felt. Yeah, I didn't realize how off I was until I saw that video. But I almost didn't post it. But it was too funny. It was way too funny.
I saw the video and I thought it was just a warm up.
Oh nope. That was the
Oh.
show, dude. That was the
Oh
show.
no. You
It's
probably
yeah.
said something in the caption and I missed the caption.
I don't remember. It was just yeah. It was funny. I think part of the fun is too. Is I think musicians oftentimes they take themselves too seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and especially like the internet. You only post what you want people to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I don't know. I have a lightheartedness to like who I am
I can
and my
tell. No,
craft because it's just like life's too short to be that serious about stuff, and like
mm-hmm.
statistically, the probability of me actually having a music career is is so tiny,
Mm-hmm.
but I might as well have as much fun and laugh as much as possible,
Yeah.
because at least like when I'm on my deathbed, I was just like, dude, I laughed so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm glad that I did that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of laughter, you do your
Mm-hmm.
podcast. Let's talk about that for a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
because you were saying how essentially you just like try to make your friend laugh.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out. I
Mm-hmm.
don't quite know what it is. It's kind of become this music,
Well, first of all,
and
what's it called?
it's called Saint Aubin Central.
Okay, okay.
And it is a music and culture podcast. So
Nice.
I'll just talk about whatever's going on in music or in my personal music trajectory. And then like culture, like I'll talk politics, I'll talk I don't know, like environmentalism. I like what
You,
pop culture,
yeah,
whatever.
you're really digging in deep to
Yeah,
whatever.
and I say wild things because it makes my producer laugh
Mm-hmm.
because he gets wildly uncomfortable when I say certain things and it makes me laugh so unbelievably much. But yeah, it's been so much fun. So prior to the show, I hadn't done it for like 2 months just because I was so focused on
Yeah.
the show, and then like right when we got back, I was just like, "Oh, dude, I miss this so much."
Mm-hmm.
It's just so fun just to like shoot the shit with a buddy and just like, and I'm essentially performing for him,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
whatever topics we bring in, I just kind of riff, and
Yeah.
sometimes I give like advice or like, hey, this is what I'm working on, this is what I think works best, but I feel like 70% of the time it's just me just being a big old goofball saying something like wildly inappropriate, but he's dying laughing in the background.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, yeah,
That's
I love
awesome.
it. I love it so much. And my studio's kind of set up to where I can I have the space to do it,
That's
but
so
it's yeah,
cool.
but I've been putting on YouTube and stuff, and which
I'm
is
gonna have to check that
interesting.
out.
Yeah, it's yeah, YouTube's a wild place, man. People don't seem to like it when people pursue their dreams,
No,
It's like
no.
the amount of comments that I get of just like saying like horrible things, which makes me laugh. I can't help but laugh. Like how like so many people are just like call me like tubby or
What?
whatever. Oh, dude, it's amazing. Like there's so many losers on the internet who just
Oh
like
yeah. Oh, I mean that's true. Yes.
but it's like it's so funny to me. It's so funny to me, and I can't help but laugh at it.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah. But it's fun.
That's
I like
incredible.
doing it. I hope to keep doing it. Like the dream right now is like to figure out a way to bring in enough money to hire some sort of like creative director or really just an editor. Cause like the editing, shooting, if someone could just help me shoot and edit video, I'd be like,
Hmm.
dude, oh, this is gonna pop off like at any moment. But just shooting and editing is just
No,
such
I
a
hear
pain in
you.
the butt.
I hear
Cause
you.
you're kind of doing it, you're pre-editing it, or at least like
I recorded then edited it later.
yeah, but you're
So
switching camera angles and stuff like
that's
that,
the dirty
right?
secret. It's not live. It's just live recorded.
Yeah, which but you're changing camera angles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I do that all in post.
Oh, you do?
So yeah,
Well,
so
I did one episode like that in post
yeah,
because when I forgot a gadget that I bring with
mm-hmm.
me, and that was a pain.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
was actually probably my best looking
yeah,
show.
sure. No, I mean I think it looks better because I think you have to spend quite a bit of money to get something that's like a little bit more a quicker cut.
Hmm.
But that's also kind of why I started doing. Well, I'm releasing a podcast tomorrow where it's like the first guy, or not the first guy, but I interviewed somebody and I'm like going back and forth, which is it's kind of a pain because most of the time it's just a straight shot
Hmm.
single,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just on me, and then my producer's just kind of he's not even on camera,
Okay.
but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love podcasting's fun. I think podcasting. I think if you have the personality to do it and you can talk, every single person should have a podcast.
That one that would saturate the market, but
I
that
mean, it's
would
already
probably be
saturated,
it was very saturated, but it probably would actually make it much more interesting.
Well, I mean, music. I think the days are kind of. I don't want to say they're gone. I think the future musicians are going to look much more like YouTubers than they
Mm.
are going to look like traditional. 90s. You go on a show, play a few festivals, you pump out an album every 2 years.
Yeah, yeah,
I think creating as many touch points for people to find you seems to be the best way to do it. Whether you're streaming, gaming on Twitch, or doing YouTube or Instagram
yeah.
or any of the social media outlets.
No, I hear that. I
Yeah.
hear that. Yeah,
But
there's just so much to it.
yeah.
So what's next for you? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't expect you to actually start planning out your next album
Sure.
already but um you've kind of come to the album release show was kind of essentially the end of an album cycle for you.
Yeah. So the album release show was like, yes, it was like I don't necessarily know if I believe in release shows anymore. I don't want to say that. That's a wrong way to put it. I'll get back to that, but
I was gonna say because you sold it out.
I did.
Say,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. It was more Saint Aubin is back, and this is who Saint Aubin is now.
Gotcha.
It's not because I think people used to associate Saint Aubin as a 3-piece band.
Yeah.
But like now, I am Saint Aubin, so that was the whole kind of the main point of the show. It's just like, hey, I'm back.
Yeah.
But so what's ahead? I'm trying to play more shows. I kind of changed my last year. I was like anti-show. I was just like, the shows are dumb. But I do think there's some merit to shows aren't what they used to be. In terms of growing an audience. But there's still an important piece of the puzzle of trying to figure out how to have a career. But I'm just going back to posting content once or multiple times a day, podcasting, and doing a song a month.
Wow.
So that's just I don't have an album in the works. It's just going to be singles for the foreseeable future, and then I'm going to sprinkle in some shows, and I'm going to do that for the rest of the year and kind of see how growth happens.
Sure.
And then kind of assess after that.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, nothing like it's kind of just like back to the boring mundaneness of like just like the work. It was interesting because the show it consumed so much because I'm the type of person who either I sell out the show or I'm a loser and I'm gonna put my family on the streets because I'm a loser.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily helpful, but in some ways it can be a helpful like push.
Yeah.
So thankfully I don't have to put my family on the streets because we were able to sell it out. But I completely lost my thought train.
That's okay.
Which is so unfortunate because it was a banger of a point.
It was just what's going forward for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What I was saying is it consumed so much of my, particularly the month leading up to it. I was, working from like 8 till 11, with my like my main job, like But I was in the studio. My wife was pretty much a single woman, you know, for a couple weeks, but now it's like after my like 2 or 3 days of decompressing, I think it was Wednesday. I was like, oh, this is boring. I'm bored. Which is crazy because I was just like, I was so like, I'm like, I have to sell it out. Like, my wife's just like, it'll be fine. And I'm just like worrying and like anxious about everything.
Yeah.
And then now life is normal. And I'm just like, oh man, I miss that. I miss that. That anxiety trip. But, yeah. So that's the plan for the next year. We'll see. We'll kind of see what happens.
Excellent. Well, we've come to the part of the show where I get to talk about the engine room.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so let me tell you real quick about the engine room as I slowly but surely bring out there it is, the Engine Room Recording Company. They are located in Broad Ripple Village, just north of downtown Indianapolis, and they specialize in making your projects go. Podcasters, bands, audiobookers, rappers, singers, songwriters, and everyone in between, the Engine Room Recording Company has the experience, the engineers, the equipment, and the environment to fuel your projects. Check out Broad Ripple's recording studio by visiting for more information on their services, artists they've recorded, and gear they have at engineroomrecordingcompany.com, and be sure to visit their Instagram page by searching up at Engine Room Recording Company. Well, Trevor, is there anything that we've missed? We feel like we've covered a lot.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't have anything coming out. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm mostly there, or YouTube. Listen to my podcast. That's about it, dude.
So much, man.
Nothing wild.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. It has been my absolute pleasure to have Trevor on the show.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And next week we will have, I believe, Moose Tooth. That should be fun. And I'm very excited about that. And so stick around for more coming up in the weeks to come. We'll be back. Thanks for tuning in this week. Bye.